optimally stronger. So if I'm not helping with that, and that's the criterion, I am not doing my job to the best of my ability.
Welcome to Root Cause Holistic Health. I'm Dr. Jon Harmon, physician, brain health expert, and your host on this no-fluff journey into whole body healing.
And I'm Tracy Green, wellness coach, mom, and co-host in this space where we get real about what actually heals, not just what's trending.
We're here to help you uncover what's really going on and empower you to take the next step in your healing journey.
Welcome back, friends, to Root Cause Holistic Health. Today we are in studio and we are talking to Kurtis Berger. And he is a guy you want to meet if you are an athlete. Whether you've been injured and you're trying to return to work or you want to maximize your performance, Kurtis is your guy. He works with professional athletes, with collegiate athletes. You're going to hear some stories about some very well-known, at least one of them I know of, well-known athletes that almost everybody will recognize. But welcome to the show, Kurtis.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Harmon.
It's great to be here with you face-to-face, talking about what you do, because I was so impressed with, your knowledge when you're working with these athletes, but your approach to those athletes and looking at when they're performing, what are the loads on the body? Mm-hmm. Will this help them in their sport?
Yeah.
But all aspects of that, proprioception, where am I in space? What do I have to do to play my sport?
Right.
Could you explain that just a little bit? What is that you are doing with athletes?
I think, I guess for me it started with, I'll go back to my why, it's to how I got there. When I was in high school, I came onto puberty late and literally got slammed with almost 3 inches of growth in a 6-month period, waking up every night, calves are balling up, like the whole nine. It was not a fun ride. But I came out of it and I had some body weight that I wanted to get rid of, and it, specifically in my chest. And I thought, well, these other guys that work out and stuff, they have good physiques, I'll get to bench pressing and all that. And went through the process of ignorance. Right? If you pick up a magazine, this was before T-Nation and all that. I'm 44 years old, so there wasn't, all the cool websites and stuff to jump to. I did a lot of the wrong things, and you learn, I think, when you're pursuant to a result, you're going, how do I get this right? And so through trial and error, stumbled upon the things that do work and the things that don't for my body, and then watched what was successful in other people. The only rule that I'd made for myself was I'm going to try and hit this mark absent the use of steroids. And as vain as it sounds, the two things that stopped me from doing it was I didn't want to be the guy that lost his hair. And it gives me some perceptual...
Obviously that hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened. I think, knock on some wood somewhere. And then I didn't want to be the guy whose heart enlarged off of doing one cycle. So it wasn't worth it. Unbeknownst to me, what I was doing with a lot of the workouts and stuff that I was utilizing, being on gear or being on steroids would have been part of the why that lifting sequence worked, the volume, the loads, etc. And so in missing that, man, I destroyed my elbows. I had medial epicondylitis in both elbows, just wicked bad golfer's elbow, right? Just on any pressing or extension of the arm, it just hurt. It hurt, man.
So you wanted to...
Yeah, I wanted to figure out why.
Athletic. Yeah. You wanted to...
Right.
Other...
Well, I guess it was more just I admired the ability of the people that had that. I grew up in a town where sports was the emphasis. That's what everyone was about. And it's not that I thought it was lame or that I was better than it or anything like that. I just didn't care. Negative zero interest.
So your motivation wasn't to play a sport?
No.
What was the motivation? What was the end goal?
The initial was completely just aesthetics. Was wanting to fix right the wrong that I saw that I didn't like in myself. And then it got to be more like, I'm also a drummer. That was actually what I excelled at. Universe gave me a big gift in that capacity. So I got very used to understanding how my body was interdependent on itself, even though you have 4 limbs doing different things all at the same time. And as I went down that road, you started seeing how that translated into the gym. And I know that because of the house I was raised in, grew up in a blue collar family. My dad was what they call a manufacturing engineer, literally genius level at what he did. I mean, mirrors on the Hubble telescope, did stuff with the DoD, NASA Ames. My 3rd grade science project was based off of what he was doing with Medtronic at the time for pig valves being used for mitral heart valve replacement. And he went on to become one of the chief manufacturing engineers for the LVAD heart pump. The reason I bring that up is I preferred Legos to action figures. So there became this, I guess, we'll call it an operating system in me of the why, the how. Like, I wanted to understand that. It's just the way my mind worked. And so fast forward, when it got to weightlifting and it got to how that translated into its effects on the body, both negative and positive, it wasn't just enough to take on someone else's dogma. I had to be able to math it, if you will. And in absence of being able to do that, I wasn't satisfied. So I'd keep going. And so what it began to turn into was, fast forward now to what I do with athletes, both at the D1 level, and I'm fortunate enough to work with people in the NHL and the NFL. It starts to become the sum total of everything that's going on. You sit there and you go, okay, what injuries have this person already, accrued in their life, right? What are they naturally good at? What lifts and movement patterns do they excel at? What do they struggle with, right? And then I start just breaking it down to the simple things where we go, all right, I know that the human being in front of me, this bipoded organism, okay, if I work with movement patterns and I strengthen those rather than trying to break it down to its subcomponents. Perfect example. We could sit here and talk to a lot of lifters that would look at a squat as a leg exercise, right?
Sure.
And certainly that's a healthy argument. The legs are going to get much bigger as you get stronger at squats, right? But then they'll go, well, I need to work my calves now. And I'll go, okay. Have you ever ruptured or met anyone that's ruptured an Achilles, or have you ever pissed that tendon off, right? And they'll sit there and go, what do you mean? I'm like, if you made your Achilles angry, you would know very quickly what the gastrocs are doing in the squat. You'd figure it out right quick, just as much as you would if you pissed off a tricep and then went to do a pull-up. So bodybuilding had kind of moved into the approach for sports performance, and it was like we had lost the plot, right? We are so capable now through dissection and through the understanding of exercise physiology, kinesiology, right? All the different sciences of being able to break the body down into its individual components. That again, from the drummer's perspective, we lost the idea of how everything is a series of systems in the body. Its execution of movement is always done through an interdependent interaction of tension and countertension within whatever limbs are executing the force production. And so when I started trying to help athletes, it just was because I didn't look at, well, okay, you're weak here, you're strong here, on a muscle basis. It was more of a movement basis. And then it was like, okay, if instead of thinking about your legs, right, if I put you in a squat, everything under the bar has to get stronger under that load. Period.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when I say everything, I don't just mean the muscles. The bones got stronger. A lot of people don't know that bone's tissue, right? So when you apply torsional or compressive forces to it, it gets denser. In absence of providing those forces, it gets less dense, right? And here comes the osteo issues,
Yes,
right?
I don't need that.
Right, exactly. How about your tendons and your ligaments, right? The eccentric load that is provided under mean old Mr. Gravity as we're squatting down, right? So rather than thinking of it as I am working my legs, it's like, no, you are working a movement pattern. Yes, your legs are the dominant force producer against the earth, but then to stand back up with that load on your back, everything under the bar had to cooperate together to execute that. And when you started looking at it from that mechanism and that thought process, you were producing different outcomes, right? I can't produce the same outcome with breaking it down to hamstring curls, leg extensions, calf raises, and a leg press.
That's, I would say, the average person goes to the gym.
Certainly.
Okay, today I'm going to work chest.
Certainly, yes.
Or today I'm going to work
right, which is
legs.
which is a bodybuilding approach, and it's not to put that down, but I feel like people don't have the bigger picture in mind. And one of the things that I came across in my mid-30s was a guy named Mark Ripito, and he had a book called Starting Strength. And I read through that, and I was like, well, this is interesting, because I finally have someone that's breaking down not just the why, but literally the physics, the mechanics. He's explaining moment arm. Imagine that, right? The force production that's being done there, and how it's applied to the different portions of the body. And the reason why I gravitated towards it was, okay, now when I sit here and I go, why does this work? I can actually math it out, right? It's not a subjective perspective. Here's the actual physics of what's taking place. And I added that into what I already did, and it buttressed it, and I think made me better. There are plenty of people out there in the PT and bodybuilding world that'll poo-poo him and just write him off as a meathead or as, a power lifter or, whatever word they want to throw at him. But it just means that they're not serious about actually looking at the literature on the mechanical basis of what's in the physiological basis of what's being provided by it, and then challenging it at that level. So for me, I started looking at, well, okay, what can I do to prove that this works? Well, fast forward to a year and a half of working on things, 430-pound back squat for 5. Guess what my leg press was? 1,000 pounds for 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool, right? But here's what I found. A person who is focused on leg press would not have the same physiological adaptation as the person working on the back squat. So I wasn't working heavily on leg press. I would just kind of mess around with it here and there. I was focused on my back squat. If the reverse had been the case, I may have had the lower body force production, but I would not have been able to transmit that force production through my back, through my shoulders, up into the bar under gravity. So the 1,000-pound leg press, if it was the emphasis, would not necessarily derive the adaptation for the 430-pound back squat. But it appeared that the inverse was true. So then I'm sitting there going like, okay, so it's the movement pattern. Call it God, call it universal design, intelligent design, evolution. You throw at it what you want for the why. But it appears that if you give the system the movement pattern, the central nervous system in the brain, like you said, through proprioception, right, through neuromuscular efficiency, through the length of your femur versus your humerus versus your unique existence, the system sorts out where the force production is applied, the motor units necessary to accomplish it, and to the degree they are utilized. So the body figures it out for you. You just got to grunt and push through it.
There are certain metrics that I'm sure professional coaches and staff look at people. In fact, a friend of mine was a pretty good basketball player for USC. And when he was trying to get drafted, they had him do a toe touch. He could only get halfway down his calf.
Okay.
They knew if he can't do that, if he can't do the toe touch, he's going to have ankle problems, knee problems, and back problems, and he didn't get drafted.
Interesting.
Even though he was rated really high, it was that
they already knew what they were looking at.
Right.
It's
in advance, and it was more limited to his own, anatomical limitations. But it plays into this, doesn't it?
It does.
If someone can't do something like that, doesn't matter how much they try to, squat or whatever it is, they have those body limitations. But absent that, you are looking at integrating all of those neuromuscular patterns and proprioceptive knowledge of the body to maximize the whole body in the way that that person needs to play that sport?
Well, I think is two things to what you said. To double down on that, part of the NFL Combine is the vertical jump, the standing vertical jump, right? So I think it's called a vertec. You get one counter drop, go up. Mm-hmm. What are they testing there? Oh, no matter how strong you are, no matter what your 225 bench was and all this, that, and the other, they're looking for something that's a genetic expression that can't really be... there's not a drug I can give you to make it better, right? You are created in the womb with your neuromuscular efficiency. If I'm talking to if we take the same person, we clone him, right? So here's a guy, he's 6 foot, he's 200 pounds, he's 18 years old, testosterone's, somewhere between 800 and 1200, okay? One of them has a 35-inch vertical. One of them has a 25-inch vertical. They both walk into the gym on day one, guess who's stronger? The guy with the 35. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing I can do, no matter what you read on the internet, to take the guy from 25 up to 35 or 38. He's just not made for it. So the explosiveness, the ability for violent, rapid motor unit recruitment transmitted into power, right? How quickly you can produce force, tells me what your explosive potential is, right? And that applies to no matter what position you play on the field in contact sports. You are able to explode harder, therefore you can genetically do everything faster and more powerfully. You can change direction, you can stop, you can start, you can jump, you can put force into another human being, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why they
without hurting yourself,
right? Well, so but that's why they look at it, right? So when I'm talking to someone who has, one of the quarterbacks I work with for BSU, over 30-inch vertical, and God love him, Zeke, I love you. You so piss me off sometimes. Here he was, he's warming up. That kid squats, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but that young man, he squats in the 500s for work weight, not for singles. And he'll be warming up. Here's 315 on his back. Ding. Here's 385. Ding. Here's 430. Ding. It's getting heavy. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, bud. Like... It not until I get into 485 and up will that bar speed even start to look different.
Wow.
Right? So what's the potential of someone like that? And if I'm working with them and I'm trying to do a good job by them, okay, I'm not trying to make them a strength specialist like a power lifter, right? A strength specialist, if we're dealing with that, an Olympic lifter, a power lifter, we are willing to risk injury for the maximum performance expressed under the bar. Not on the field, under the bar. The absolute maximum amount of weight possible for one rep is the end goal. We are willing to risk injury to obtain it. Okay, that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're taking the individual, and there's not baseball strong, there's not football strong, there's not hockey strong, right? Swimming strong. We're trying to give, and this is the approach, the athlete the headspace from what is maximal and what is submaximal. So if I take, just to make it easy again, your back squat, and on day one you start out at 100 pounds. And through working together, we get it up to 200. I have doubled your total strength under that movement pattern, right? Well, so what did I do to every movement pattern you do that's submaximal of that? Well, I cut the effort of it in half, right? So that means now you can do the same things with less fatigue because they're easier, which probably means you can do them longer, which probably means you can do them with more control, right? Because fatigue equals loss of balance, right? We get clumsy, we get sloppy, right? Mm-hmm. Or it means you can now exert more force for a shorter amount of time, if necessary, than you used to be able to do so. Now, I am not a speed specialist, right? A movement specialist for, running patterns, cutting routes, and all that kind of stuff. Like that's I'm not an agility guy. It's not what I do. But I look at it this way. If within reason, like Zeke, for example, he's a running quarterback. They're actually playing him right now as running back. I would imagine his strength under the bar had something to do with that. I digress. But we look at it and we go, okay, if I take him up to 240 pounds and try and get him into squatting in the 700s, which, by the way, he's probably genetically capable of. Now I'm making him a power lifter. He's a strength specialist. We are pursuant to that. And I undid the ability to make him a better athlete as a football player. So maybe that's kind of where the football strong comes into play. We could say there's an amount of strength, there's a window I can operate in to optimize you, so long as I'm not actually making you slower on the field, so long as I'm not actually making you less agile, right? And the number one thing I asked him was, I said, what did you notice about having a 515 back squat and a 450-pound deadlift? And he goes, when bigger guys hit me, it felt the same as when I was in high school with the smaller guys hitting me. Oh, wait, so you mean the organism got stronger as a whole? Weird.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The other day you were talking about that, where, of course, bone density increases.
Sure.
Muscle mass,
Yep.
coordination, ligament strength and structure, so that it doesn't feel like you're getting hit
Right.
like by the big guy.
Sure.
So let's get to some examples of what you've been able to do for different players. You don't have to name them if you can't, but
I can't.
just give an example of someone comes in, they need help because they're going to play.
Yeah.
They want to play. It's like a lifetime dream,
Yeah.
but they can't do it in the condition they're in.
Right.
Does one come to mind? One particular?
Quite a few. I mean, we'll go one hockey, one football here.
Okay.
Had a young man, gifted hockey player. He's a forward. He actually has an invite he's got to go to here in July. 5'11", 137 when I met him.
Doesn't sound like a hockey player.
Does not sound like a hockey player, right?
It sounds like a junior high soccer player.
Yeah, so I met him the first time because he came in because someone put him into the boards and subluxed his right shoulder. And,
Wow.
and so imaging showed labrum was intact, everything was okay, but it didn't feel good. And I looked at him and was like, you are fast, you're agile and all that, but this is a contact sport.
Did you forget about that part?
we left that. We had neglected that part of it, right? Can I help you get healed from this? And then also, can we make it so it's harder for it to happen to you again? So we started in March of last year, and his opening squat for a set of 5 was 135 pounds.
Jeez.
Okay?
That's really low for a hockey player.
It's really low for a hockey player. So I'd also helped him with some of the eating, and because he had a killer metabolism. It took that young man to 5,000 calories to begin to gain consistently. Okay, so at 5 pounds a workout, and he didn't hit every day. I mean, people travel, they get sick, whatever happens. But fast forward a year later, try 405 pounds. Right, and the deadlift was about 30 pounds in front of that. So now, once again, what happens when you run into him? What happens when he runs into you?
A lot different.
A lot different. One of the fun things that I saw, I had the pleasure of working just for a little bit with a PGA golfer, and we worked on the deadlift. He had some shoulder bursitis stuff that made squatting very difficult. So we worked on the deadlift, and we didn't increase it by a significant amount, but it was good for what it was for the short time we worked together. Yeah, his shot profile narrowed by over 20%. Imagine that the rear chain development on the body would lend itself to a better golf swing. Weird.
Not so weird.
Right. But you wouldn't look at it, right? You would just think, well, that's a meathead exercise. What does that have to do with golf? Right? We see guys named Thor picking up 1,000 pounds doing that with an aesthetic that doesn't lend itself to a golfer, right?
Correct.
That's what that's for. So you see what I mean? It's overcoming that dogma.
A lot of people don't look at golfing as, there's a lot of strength involved in it. I mean, in general, I would think.
Right. And I would agree with it.
I was one of the chiropractors for the Boise Nike Open for 20 years.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Those guys would come in, and I'm checking their collarbone and their elbows and adjusting all of those things because they put a lot of stress on it. But I was amazed that they are able to play at the level they're playing with all of these little, dings and
Sure.
problems.
Sure.
And it's extremely athletic.
Right.
That the people don't know until you go out there and try to do that.
Well, and furthermore, that you're going to do it, and like you said, not muscle through it. It's not the guy that's going to kill the ball that drives it the farthest, right? It's like anything else in the weight room. The muscle I am going to get the greatest contraction from in a movement pattern is the one that I can load with the greatest amount of tension, right? Like if you even go through basic bodybuilding stuff, you will find that the greatest hypertrophy is generated to the muscle bellies that were put under the most mechanical tension during the movement pattern.
Sure.
Right. So then I go to wind up for a golf swing. What am I putting into tension? And where is it leveraging from against the earth? What does that kinetic chain look like? Now, once again, I'm not trying to take a golfer that's 6 foot, maybe 180. That's not uncommon. And make him 6 foot 230. I'm not trying to do that. But 195 may not be a bad thing for the guy, right? Especially if we can do it and put it in his hips, in his hamstrings, and his spinous erecti, and up through his back, right? I got to do sit-ups. If you carry 315 pounds through a back squat, I promise you your abs are doing some work.
Right.
And I think that's more of where the discussion needs to go. Is it's okay. It's kind of like with what you were saying. Strength, production of force against an external resistance. Okay, so every single movement pattern we as human beings do is a used percentage of our total strength. I don't care if you're picking up a cup of coffee, standing up out of a chair, opening a door, reaching up into a cupboard, right? Or doing something on the field, right? Or in the pool or whatever. You pick the sport, right? Okay, that is requiring a percentage of my total strength. So to the degree I have less total strength, the closer I am operating to the envelope of my maximum production. Well, when I'm there, that's where injury occurs, right? So the more effort it requires and the less able I am able to repeat that reliably, right? Because I'm getting fatigued. Well, that's where the injury starts, right? That's where it happens. So if we can get people stronger, then what we can look at is it goes like this, like what we were talking about. Okay, you're a bipodal organism. So a certain percent of your total strength goes to, you have to just be able to stand up.
Right.
Right. And you're not a pile of bones on the floor. Okay, here's a fun one that my uncle Bill, who was a great baseball coach, made me think about. Everything we execute for force production, the body first has to be in balance. It won't really let you do it to an optimized ability, right? The maximum potential comes from when we execute force production in balance. We can do some things off balance. We see athletes do it all the time. And
remarkably so,
yes.
Like the basketball player falling backwards and making a shot.
Still making the shot.
Or
that going for the longest catch possible, right? Where you're like the go-go gadget arm as the wide receiver.
I watched
diving.
a video of one this morning.
Yeah, and it's
remarkable.
And it's so cool to see that happen.
Yeah.
But the repeatability of that, though, might be a more interesting question to observe. But where I'm going is it's like, okay, so now we have a percentage of the total strength that's used to maintain balance. Now the remainder is what you have to work with for everything else. So if we can increase that headroom a little bit, we make everything else easier, more reliable, more repeatable, and less prone to injury. Again, and I can't stress this enough to anyone listening, is there's an envelope to where we're not trying to make you a strength specialist. I see a lot of people that are lazy use that as the justification. You're just trying to make me a power lifter. It's like, no, I'm just trying to make you not hold the couch still or get on the treadmill every day and think that that's now, don't get me wrong, I'm not insulting people that get on the treadmill. But what I am saying is that if you go into the gym and today I'm lifting chest, right? We see this all the time, right? The guy or the gal that comes in, they fart around with the dumbbell rack a little bit and they, do this, chest day is Monday, right? That's literally a joke that Monday is bench press for everybody. And then they go and they exercise on the treadmill. By the way, you'll see these people, they can be on their phone while they're on it, and they wonder why nothing changes. So exercising is something we do today to feel good today. We've sweated, we've gotten our heart rate up, right? We didn't just be the sedentary being that was holding the couch still.
And a lot of people think that treadmill is like running on the road. you're just keeping your legs moving to keep up with something that's moving. You're not actually,
Right.
It's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not propulsion,
No.
all you on a hard surface.
Right. It's not.
And I like to differentiate that for people to understand. It isn't the same.
Most of the people that I find resistance to that discussion with, it's because they feel inherently insulted by that, because they see that they are doing something. They're not just, again,
Right.
holding the couch still.
But it's a bit of a compromise.
It is a bit of a compromise.
And it allows me to read while I'm on the treadmill and look at my phone. And I still get my exercise, in quotes. Air quotes.
And you start getting to where you go, okay, what's catabolic? What's anabolic, right? Look at the build on a long distance runner versus a sprinter.
I'd rather be the sprinter.
I'd rather be the sprinter all day, every day. And that is not to say that I'm sitting here trying to insult people that love distance running.
I was one.
But as I tell my lifters, so this is kind of the approach I do with my athletes. I need to do what is best for you today on the field. I need to make you the you that is going to yield you the most juice for your squeeze when you go and you practice your sport. I also need to be cognizant of the fact that someday you're 50 and you can't buy back the mistakes. So I want to minimize my contribution to those things that are going to make for a poor quality of life when you're 50. I want to satisfy both criteria. And that's not easy, because when you are looking at maximizing someone's potential, there's risk, right? When Zeke squats 515, there's risk, right? By the way, he wants to get to 600. And I know he's genetically capable of it, no problem. And actually, I don't think it'll slow him down. One of the running backs I work with in the NFL, he and I laugh because he squats 600, no problem. He could probably do more. But we look at it and we go, it's not just his legs. Yes, trying to wrap up those legs in a run, best of luck when the tree trunks are in motion. I wish you the best on grabbing onto them. But when he trucks someone in the middle of a run, when you go to grab him or wrap him up and he drops you on your butt, why is that? Is it just because he has strong legs? What's it like to run into him as an organism that can carry 600 on his back? More than one rep. I bet you there's something there. I bet you that has something to do with it, right? And he has a goal of being in the league for quite a while. He's not just looking to get a three-year run out of it. He knows full darn well that part of the secret to that success, and again, he's straddling a line, right? Because there's risk if we go too much heavier on the bar. Okay, but we know that if we fall below this, we're not optimal.
Right.
So you have to operate in that, right? It's easier to come up with a reason for most people because under the bar with that much weight on you sucks. Gravity is a mean teacher, a very mean teacher. And the second you unrack that, it begins to suck immediately, right?
Is he in his first year of college?
No, NFL.
Oh, NFL.
NFL. Yeah. No, he taught me a lot, because one of the ways that I first got to know him was another player I was working with called him up and knew he was having some issues. And again, I don't mean any disrespect to athletes at all, but all the guys and gals I work with, I just call them the Humpty Dumpty crew, because I'm just putting them back together again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
you are all the king's horses and all.
whether I like it or not.
You thought that and tried to project that for a long time.
Well, dressing up can only do so much for me at once. Just like, that young man needs to go to a Renaissance fair. All right.
There you go.
No, but I remember the phone call because he was on speakerphone, and it was really interesting to listen to, because the player that I was working with called him up, another running back, and he's like, hey, I've got this guy and he wants to help you. He's like, well, what does he want? Well, he wants to help you. Well, is he a fan of the team? No, he's actually a drummer. And the guy's like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, man, like he
wasn't really impressed.
No. But what he couldn't believe was that I genuinely wasn't interested in his autograph. I didn't want tickets to a game. Wasn't trying to get this fat load of cash out of him. Just like, hey, you have a problem. Let's see if we can solve it. And we did. His hamstring was smooth, as he put it, for the rest of the season. And he'd had the problem since he was in college.
So if somebody reaches out to you and they're in a different state, how do you facilitate that?
Had it happen. I've got people on the Browns and formerly the Commanders, but it just goes down to, if they have the budget to do so, they fly me out. I try to at least get enough data beforehand to understand what's going on. What's the desired outcome? What do we have working in our favor? What do we have not working in our favor, right?
Are they usually trying to recover from an injury?
Typically. Or, like, for perfect example, this will get into some of the technology I use. So I was exposed back in May of 23 to a company called BTL. BTL is based over in Europe, specifically Prague. And they've been in the business, if I'm remembering correctly, since 93, but the former emphasis was cardiac imaging. Okay. Well, when you do cardiac imaging, you tend to know a thing or two about magnetic waves. So they developed a technology that utilizes HIFEM, high intensity focused electromagnetic frequency. Why does that matter to what I do? There's this machine called mSculpt that was delivered here in the United States as an aesthetics device because it actually burns fat and builds muscle. Like, it actually does that. It's not just woo-woo. Like, they've spent the money. The peer-reviewed data is, I mean, I can machine gun you with the amount of studies they have on that thing. MRI data, dissection data. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff available. Bottom line is, it looks a little something like this. Here's something using magnetic waves to operate your motor units. Why? Because at the neuron level, right, which is what we have going into the muscle tissue, the neuron fires, choline then serves as the neurochemical, right, to then pull you into contraction. Well, when we just use stim devices, even Russian stim, the issue becomes that some of those neurons are available for what I call action potential, and some of them are not. Okay. HIFEM decouples, or actually changes the polarity on the neurons and switches them into the on position. So now you have more neurons you can fire. So you get a super maximal contraction. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. So now when someone's injured, you and I both know, is there a direct blood supply to ligaments and tendons?
No.
Right, there's no arterial support. So here's the joint space. And typically, what do they do to the joint when it's been injured? It gets put into immobilization, right? So now I'm just I'm relying on the heart's thump thump to turn and burn enough oxygenated blood to then cause that to heal, right? To have the nutrient delivery and everything else necessary for that tissue to heal. Okay, cool. Well, it comes to be a point of fact that if I now use this device, I can now access your motor units. I can squeeze those muscles, right? And what's cool about it is now I'm forcing blood flow without having a movement pattern associated with it. What happens to the person? Oh, we avoid disuse atrophy. Oh, we heal quicker. And now here's the fun part. Just like the formula in the gym, stress, recovery, adaptation. We come to find that is the formula by which the body adapts. So when I'm dealing with a non-surgical approach to an injury or a post-surgical approach to an injury, the way you treat them is the same. The only difference is the amount of trauma that the body is overcoming from the surgical intervention. That's the only difference, right? So it takes a little longer sometimes. Sometimes it's quicker. But the approach is still the same. So now, like, for example, I had a guy that had Tommy John surgery, right? UCL. Shows up in a brace. It's all messed up. This is an O lineman. Okay? Big boy. Get him out of the brace, just kind of do, and this is 1 week post-surgery. Just kind of do just a little bit of general rub, just to get a little bit of blood flow. We don't want to piss anything off. Steri strips are still on the kid. Check him with a protractor on what his extension is. Hook him up to mSculpt in the positions that I felt were most appropriate, which was over the extensors, right? And then over the long head of the tricep. And I played tug-of-war between those 2 points. 17 degrees of extension in one treatment.
Wow.
17 degrees additional in one.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So this is the kind of stuff that's now becoming available to PT departments around the world. The unfortunate thing is that we have not moved the approach to healing people with the technology that's available?
Why is that?
Great question. Observation from an NFL player. Talking to this guy, and he goes, hey, you know what was really weird? And I go, what's that? And he goes, one of the things I thought when I came to the league was that I was going to get a much different facility to work with than I did in college, right? That the D1 level is great, but certainly something at the NFL is going to be drastically different. He was a little disappointed. And that's not to insult anybody anywhere. But what I pointed out to him is I said, well, the exercise phys education is the same for the guy in the D1 program as it is over here in the NFL. The kinesiology degree. So basically, unless you have a guy or gal that has some wild ideas or curiosities, you're going to get the same approaches in either environment. I don't know if it's laziness, if it's just ignorance, right? If it's an aptitude problem, if it is a lack of curiosity, if it's a fear, maybe people are worried that a device is going to replace them. And it's like when I teach these devices, I actually get to travel and go to different teams and show them how to utilize it. I love when I find out what tools are in the tool chest. Oh, you have shockwave, you have softwave, or you're doing dry needling, or you've got stim, or you've got PEMF, or you've got cryo, you've got hyperbaric, you've got red light, right? And I love injectables, not the steroid type, but it's kind of like, okay, I had an NHL team. Left MCL, if I remember correctly. Grade 3 tear.
Ooh.
They want to go non-surgical. Kurtis, what would you do? Well, I would use M-Sculpt. They had bought one. Here's the protocols I would run. Here's the positions I would utilize. And I would also use an umbilical cell derivative in ultrasound-guided injection to the ligament, right? To then cause it to heal quicker and then have the building blocks necessary to have a stronger adaptation. They did everything except the injection because that had to be cleared through an orthopedist, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. They weren't sure if WADA would approve it. And I'm sitting here thinking like, it's not a PED, but okay, fine. Here's the cool outcome. 12 weeks. We ran the program. 0 disuse atrophy for that athlete when he returned to the ice.
Wow.
And they'd never done that before.
When was this?
This was last fall.
So pretty recent.
Yeah, Vegas Knights, God bless them. They're doing great right now. And what's fun about them is one of the guys that I work with there, he has a hybrid position. He's a PT, but he's also in the strength training department. He's ironically from Ohio, and Ohio is kind of known for some weightlifting stuff, right? He and I, when we were talking about it, we were talking about how I looked at him and I saw some of the players and stuff in the weight room. And I said, I don't think that there is a lifter in here that I would consider an advanced lifter. There may be an intermediate at best. And he looks at me and he smiles and he goes, you are absolutely correct. They are intermediate at best. There might even be some guys that might be a late novice. Now, what I mean by that is we take a lifter, right? A novice means that if you're programming them correctly, they can adapt every time they come into the weight room. I can make the bar heavier, right? Which is pretty cool. And I can do that if I'm doing 3 workouts a week with the guy or gal, I can do that every workout.
Is there a certain percentage that you're shooting for?
Honestly, when they're a novice and they haven't really gone through a strength program before, a linear progression, 5 pounds a lift on squat and deadlift for sure. Bench press, that runs out kind of quick. So you literally, I have half-pound plates that I use with my lifters. I have 1 1/4 pound plates. But still, if you're doing 2.5 pounds a workout and you're even doing that twice a week, that's 5 pounds a week, right? Okay, so that's 20 pounds in a month you added to your overhead press or your bench press. That's a big deal, right? And then now, so an intermediate, you can't do it every workout. You could probably do it once a week. So they require, because they've had more adaptations, right? Because it's cumulative. So now it takes more stress to drive a new adaptation in them. So now you maybe can get an increase once a week. Okay, an advanced lifter, now they're at this end of the linear progression, right? So now it takes much more work to drive a new adaptation. So you might get an increase out of them bi-weekly or once a month. But again, you can still ride that process for quite some time. Most athletes that I could even take out of high school haven't finished a novice linear progression. I could probably go grab most of the kids at any D1 program and run it on them for at least probably a couple of months. And they're already strong.
Wow.
But once again, when you have a genetic freak, and I don't mean that in a mean way, when I have a locker room full of 30 plus inch verticals and I don't optimize that, I'm not helping them. In fact, ugly fact, in my opinion, a lot of bad ideas and suboptimal efforts can hide behind that kind of talent. Right? If you're a strength trainer or whatever and you are working your program, yeah, do it on the guy with the 20-inch vertical and see how well he or she does. Do it on Joe Public. Because the athlete with the 35 or 41-inch vertical or whatever the case may be, they're going to make you look good. You hardly have to blow on them and they get stronger. But it doesn't mean they got optimally stronger. So if I'm not helping with that, and that's the criterion, I am not doing my job to the best of my ability.
So the trainers, are they afraid of doing that? What do you mean?
No, I think, not afraid, because they're good. Most of the ones I met are really good people. I mean, I would argue that they've even gone, I don't have a keen...
Afraid's the wrong word. It just...
I think it's this. Yes, there's a fear factor to it, but it's from this perspective. When you have a multi-million-dollar athlete, or now because of NIL, a running back that's in D1 getting paid several $100,000,
yeah,
and you injure them in the weight room, well, the reverse engineer of how that happens pretty easy, right? Here's the ugly flip side to that coin. I suboptimally develop you in the weight room so that I don't risk injuring you in the weight room, and I put you on the field as the lesser version of your potential self, and you get injured there. Hey man, that's just playing the game. That's the risk of playing the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, you never get found out that way.
Right. So there is a little bit of fear.
Oh, absolutely. And I understand it because I don't think that collectively, like when you're talking about now the booster organizations or the sponsors or, insert the cash flow here, right? When you're talking about having to be accountable to that, it makes sense that then you would want to be careful with what you could do to injure someone, which could potentially also end their career, and you don't want to do that to somebody. But when I was working with Zeke on the back squat, when we went to squat 515 for the first time, it was the same ask that I put on him 4 months prior, meaning it was just 5 pounds at a time.
Wow.
That was it. It was just 5 pounds at a time. We started at 325. We finished at 515. And then his schedule got so busy that kind of what you do with LifeWave, I think, really lends itself to helping. We talked about that stress recovery adaptation. When I'm looking at an athlete, I'm looking at what is your recovery budget. I look at it like a budget, right? Because it's finite. Okay. The factors that feed the budget. Your genetic potential. Just who you are as a unique organism. Okay. Your sleep. Your nutrition, both macro and micro, right? And then what is it at a cellular level that you have working to your advantage or your disadvantage, right? What's your inflammation? So I look at it as there's what I ask in the weight room, there's what you do on the field, there's what your coaches are asking of you for plyometrics or whatever else it might be doing to help you utilize your strength faster, which I agree with, by the way. My job's to help you make horsepower. Other people show you how to explode with it more. It's not my gig. It's not what I do. But I do know that if I give you more of that, you'll get better at that. The inverse isn't true. So when we look at the recovery budget, okay, if I am just paying attention to what I want and not the total sum of what's being asked of you, I'm going to make you more prone to injury, right? Or I'm going to drive it so that you can't recover in 72 hours, right? So now did I help you? Now you're practicing your game on the field and you're more fatigued. Did I help you?
That tends to upset the boosters.
A little bit. So there's the two edges. Well, there's three actually, I think. Working with devices like I do from BTL, and for me, right now I will die on that hill. That thing, M-Sculpt does not replace progressive overload training, but when you have a strength department and a PT department that in a professional organization that work together, and they get their hands on something like that, now you have a disuse atrophy device. Now you can heal faster and stronger because the tendon, the ligament, the cartilage, the hole, the bone, everything was put in a stressed environment that was controlled, but you had a better adaptation as a result. I can stress test you and see if you're going to cramp before I put you on the field. I can warm you up before I put you on the field. I can see if your muscles now, if I can max you out on this, you're darn right I can put you back in the weight room with a lower risk. See? So you have all these tools. It's a Swiss Army knife. It's not a singular device. I love seeing people get that aha moment and go, oh, wow, here we go, right? Here we go. And then you see the athletes benefit from it.
I can imagine that an athlete who's been injured and feels like, it might be over for me, and then you help them recover. What an encouraging thing for them.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It is.
But also for you.
It's ironic for me.
Ironic?
When I was a kid, because of where I said I grew up, like literally the people that picked on me were predominantly athletes. And so to now be the guy that helps them do well, it is ironic. It is ironic.
So is that part of what drives you to do this work?
God,
kind of metaphorically speaking, take that.
God, that's a good question. I don't know that I know the answer to that.
If not, what is it that drives you to help these athletes?
I feel like I'm going to give you a long-winded answer on that, but I hope it makes sense.
And I want to ask if part of it is, you overcame some stuff.
Yeah.
And you want to help other people do that. But then there's the aspect of the athletes that you mentioned were kind of, giving you a hard time because you were more interested in Legos than...
Yeah. Well, I mean...
So anyway, does that tie together at all?
It does. I mean, and I guess it's weird, right? Because, I have a bigger Eastern European build on me. I have really big hands. It made me a really good swimmer and drummer. I'm almost 6'2", 240 pounds. I'm dad bodding it a little. I'm not dialed in the way I could be and should be, but that's my own self-discipline issue. I don't feel like I'm genetically out of the game. Where I'm going with that is I understand why they thought it was odd to see a bigger person that perhaps could have been used in an athletic role have no interest in it.
Yeah.
So I don't fault them for that. It was really strange that they cared so much that they had to give me a hard time about it. I don't understand that. I don't know. All I learned about myself from that was I wasn't afraid to be alone. I remember in second grade, my teacher went to my parents and was like, he's different. I don't know if he's bored or whatnot, but I think he has ADD and we want to get him tested. And that was at that time that they didn't just throw out Adderall like it was, candy. Like I had to go through a full psych eval and all this stuff. So they did personality tests, IQ tests, all this crap. And coming out the other side of that, one of the things that at that age struck me was I found out in second grade I had an 11th grade reading comprehension level.
In the 7th grade?
Second
grade.
Whatever that means. It just meant that I tend to understand well, I guess. So now what it is, fast forwarding, especially with the pros, now the D1 guys too, I worry about them a little bit because like that phone call to that NFL player, what does he want? Well, he just wants to help you. And they almost can't believe it. And I think it's twofold. I think I have joy in seeing them figure out that I'm actually only just there to help them. Like, and again, I mean no disrespect, but it's like, you know how many NFL guys I've stood in front of and I don't know who the hell they are? I had the head of return to play for the Cowboys, Britt, who's an awesome dude, by the way. They're doing some cool stuff there. But he was talking to me about these different players. I was at the Cowboys facility in Frisco, doing some training there, going over the M-Sculpt technology. And he was talking about these different guys, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And he's like, yeah, but and he talks about some other people. I was like, I don't know who that is either. And he goes, you got to be kidding me. And I said, I'll put it to you this way. You could put me in your locker room right now, put 10 grand cash in front of me, or 100 grand. You pick the amount, you pick the lottery, and say, Kurt, name 3 guys. I wouldn't be able to collect that money. And again, it's not because I think I'm above it. It just hasn't been a personal interest. So I don't have the
You are interested in helping the athlete no matter who it is.
Right.
You're not doing it for fame.
No.
Or have them give you something or...
Well, and the part that you realize when you talk to them, this is really interesting. You'll come up, for example, with a plan for an athlete who's had an injury, let's say. Hey, Kurt, that looks great. Let me run it past my agent. Okay, well, agent wants to, know what's going on. I can understand that. Okay. Hey, I'm going to talk to my mom about it too. Okay. I had this friend from middle school that I'm still buds with. I'm gonna run it past him as well. Well, is he an orthopedist or like a chiro or a PT or something? And no, he's my. Oh, okay. I don't understand that, but.
So what do you think that is?
I don't know. I am worried.
What's that about?
That it smells a little like how many of those. A lot of these guys will uplift financially the people around them when they make it to that level of success.
Yeah.
And bless them for it. So now it comes across sometimes like...
You hear him say that too. I'm going to buy my mom a brand new
right.
this or that.
Totally. So then you find yourself going, do these people actually care about them to the degree that player hopes they do? Does the player have the same value to those individuals absent the financial ability or the clout or the experience?
Probably not.
Probably sadly not. What makes it even worse is I don't know what a lot of these people see themselves as absent that role. I'm the tight end for the Raiders. Just throwing that out there. Who are you if I took that away?
Sadly, some of them don't have a plan.
Yeah, and sadly, they don't even have value of themselves outside of that because they've been that since they were 7 years old. All the praise they've got was typically centered around that in one form or another.
Right.
All of their way of moving through life and hitting that next level was typically involved in that, right? The scholarship for school was probably involved in that. So really, their mechanism of action for success has revolved, maybe not solely, but we could say primarily around that.
I think there's some deficiencies in the support as they're going through that and giving them the knowledge that at some point this ends.
It does. And I don't want you doped up on painkillers just running the clock out. Mm-hmm. Right? When you get to the TBI stuff and you get to the emotional side, again, God bless BTL for this one. I utilize one of their devices called ExoMind. It's a transcranial magnetic stimulation device. And we use it to help with depression. We use it to help with mood. We use it to help with chasing dopamine. We use it to help with anxiety. I use it for motor cortex work as well, right? So the technology has gotten so good that you can actually, this from ClearMind, right? If we want to, we can go and put little nodes on you and we can just work that muscle or that nerve and we can test its interaction with the motor cortex. Like we can dial you the heck in if you want to play. One of the colleagues that I work with, Dr. A, down in Arizona, he's a neurosurgeon. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I agree with it strongly. The reason why it's important, this is my opinion, and I'll throw his in here in a second. if I'm treating you as a whole person, the total sum of who you are, the body's always an observation of itself, right? So the brain sees what's going on, and the system's communicating with the brain what's going on, right? It's a constant combo going on. So then stress makes us stupid, does it not? We've all been the whole, you bonk your head, on the cabinet door, you fall over, you go to stand up, you hit your elbow on something else, you drop your keys, and you're just getting more and more rage baited up, as you move. Oh, stress makes us stupid. Oh, so you mean it has an impact on what I do with my body when my emotions change? So here was Dr. A's observation. Your motion, your movement today is just your emotions in motion.
Interesting.
So how now can I approach the whole individual and leave the mind out? I don't feel that I can.
It's impossible.
Right. So to me, like, that's the next level of where return to play and these departments can go. Like, it's not just your dry needling, your deep tissue work. Like, I laughed because when I do deep tissue work, I always work with salves and essential oils, things that feed into the tissue. It's more of a Chinese medicine approach. Mm-hmm. I had a guy laugh at me that was a massage dude for the NHL. He goes, why do you do that? He goes, put that on for the tendon or whatever. And I'm like, because it actually feeds it. No, by the way, the arnica is helping with, with what's going on here with the swelling and the injury to that site. Like, I'm actually helping heal that tissue quicker. And he goes, you're trying to do that transdermal or whatever. I'm like, this isn't biofreeze. Like, if you disagree with what I can get into the body through the skin, how much fentanyl do I have to put on your forearm before you have a real problem on your hands? Right?
Yeah.
And it's like the light bulb went off. Oh, wait, that is how it works. Yeah, it is. If I'm going to spend time on tissue, I want everything working in your favor. What can I feed while I need? Right? So that's just another aspect to it. But now when I get done with that tissue work, I'm not just going to leave you. I'm going to throw M-Sculpt on you now. And I'm going to activate those muscles and I'm going to squeeze them. I call it a pump and dump session. I'm literally just concerned with flushing out of the tissue the fluid that was there and any inflammatories that are in it. And I want to pull new oxygenated blood into it. Oh, and weird, that deep stripping we had to do, that pinning work, yeah, 72 hours later, you're good to go. I did it to a wide receiver for a team. We'll leave which team out. He had a big game coming up, and he was scared, man. I was like, but he kept cramping right up under origin for one of the hamstring muscles, right up under his butt.
That's a bad place.
It's a bad place. So, welcome to the fold. Take your pants off. Let's get to work, right? We're going to be good friends.
Did you excuse me? Yeah. Excuse me, sir. A couple of times, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I just looked at him. I said, you're not a 5'7" brunette with an attitude. You're going to be just fine. I promise. I married that. So I'm happy with what I have. But here he was very concerned at the end of that because there was quite a bit of granular tissue and some nasty stuff in there. We broke it up. I knew I broke it up. And it hurt like a son of a gun on him, right? Ran M-Sculpt on him, then did it again the next day and then said, here's what you're going to put on for a salve to just help it. Give it 72 hours. He's like, dude, I got a game on Saturday. He's like, you'll be fine by the game. He's like, are you sure? And I gave him the warm-up I wanted him to do. So I said, I want you to put that under tension. I want you to do a deficit Romanian deadlift. He's like, what? And I said, yeah, I want you to stand on a 45-pound plate, and I want you to put that thing under as much mechanical tension as you can. And we were just doing it with like 185, which for him was not heavy. Just that was just not there wasn't a lot of risk in it. Yeah, as he put it, he was smooth. Went out and played the game, caught a couple of passes, had a touchdown under his belt. Went great. No problem. We were both biting our nails a little bit, if I'm honest. But I was confident in the process. I was.
Technologies are so great. I mean, and accelerate.
Yes.
They're being able to get back in the game.
Right.
That it's probably difficult for some of them to realize that can happen.
Yes, it is. It is.
3 days out of a game, and I could barely walk. And now you do all these machines and...
Couldn't run. Full sprint.
Couldn't run.
It bit him every time.
Yeah.
Full sprint wasn't happening. Was not happening. And dry needling had been done and all this other stuff. Right.
Well, no wonder they fly you around.
It's fun. It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I think the players, they've been really good to me. And I'm just their goofy haired white friend with the funky, with the funky laugh, So it's like, come in and let's get to work.
The white guy drummer with the funky laugh.
Yeah.
So if you could put into a paragraph for the listeners, what do you do?
Oh, wow.
I know it's asking a lot and putting you on the spot, but I think it's important because you've talked a lot about different things, but I want people to come away with a basic understanding of what it is that you do so that the people in need you can reach out to you.
On the professional sports side, I call myself a recipe maker. So I'm really good at looking at what methods and devices you have in your return to play department.
I thought you were going to say a magician.
No, I'm fresh out of bibbity bobbity boop. I don't have any of that hanging around.
You have a magic wand, though. Some of those machines that you do.
It can seem like it.
I've seen it.
It can seem like it. So I like recipe building. I do not. I like to show you how I think. I don't care if you do it the way I do it. That's not my goal. It's not, I am the all-knowing. No. I feel that in absence of me being able to tell you why I want you to do something, it shows you I haven't thought about it. Or maybe I don't even understand it myself, which means I need to go back to the drawing board. So what I do is I come in, I look at what you have working for you, what the methods that you're using are, and I walk you through your why. And then we explore maybe a couple of different whys together. And then I can show you what's worked for me. I always learn from people. I don't learn anything from people that agree with me. That's a Henry Ford quote. I never learned anything from a man who agreed with me. So I don't want to be the smartest dude in the room. But I want to be able to create a track to run on a pragmatic diagnostic, if you will, of we're here, we need to get here. Let's talk about the how, and let's articulate the why, right? And if we're staying true to that, the best answer is going to rise up. And it's not going to be because of pedigree. It's not going to be an argument of authority. It's not going to be any of that crap. It's just going to be, this works because, fill in the reason why here.
There are going to be some athletes listening who probably have given up hope. Maybe they're not getting the care that they need. Do you do like a Zoom or phone call, consultation?
Yeah, we do.
So we'll get the information, how they can get in touch with you, and at least just have a conversation.
Well, it's like one of the guys that I'm talking to right now, he plays for the Chargers. We were talking about, I used to live in Redondo Beach, which is just next to Manhattan Beach, where he'll be in LA. So we went back and forth about that a bit. But the goal is he's going to come out here and see me in Idaho. I'm going to go over what we're accomplishing, how I want it done. He's going to see what it feels like when I do it. And then I'm going to fly over to LA, and he's going to have me meet the people that are going to continue to do it there. I'm going to show them what
You're going to show them what to do.
Yeah, I'm going to show them what's up. And then, again, the opportunity is there for other ideas and discussions, right? But I want him to at least know first, when Kurt does it, it feels this way. So he's got a reference point, right?
Yeah.
And then if he needs me, like I remember when I was working with the Knights, I literally, like, once I have a relationship with people, it actually becomes a lot of fun. I'm on a Saturday, I can't remember where, I was going to the mall with my wife and my 4 kids to make some returns, and I pulled over in a parking lot on FaceTime with one of the PTs for the Knights. And he's going, this is what I'm thinking. This is what just happened to this guy's shoulder. This is what I'm thinking we do. What's your thoughts? Okay, well, I'd be doing this and this. Oh, no, I'd put that there. Have we done this already? And we're just firing back and forth. It took us about, I think, 10, 15 minutes. And my wife's just kind of rolling her eyes laughing at me because I'm literally in a warehouse parking lot on the phone with a hockey team, right? We hang up and go on about our life. That is so fun. It feels really good. And
I can tell you're really passionate.
I love it. It is.
Yeah.
And I move on. You know what it is because the fun with the Legos is in building them. Playing with them afterwards, yeah, that's cool too. But the initial fun is in building it for the first time. That's what it's like helping someone for me.
Mm-hmm.
You're just Legos. Like, I'm not trying to be mean.
They just don't know that when you're working with them.
Just don't know that.
You probably shouldn't tell them that either.
I don't think that would be the best way to warm them up. No.
You remind me of a Lego figure that I built once.
Yeah? That's a pretty handsome Lego figure.
No, that's why you probably shouldn't tell them.
No, I think people that have been through enough life experiences, there's an ease with genuinism.
Sure.
People kind of they smell it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They can be trepidatious at first because it's like, how many people do they have vying for their attention and their money?
Well, and they have to have a lot of trust in you too.
Right.
You're telling them that they're going to get to play. They put a lot of faith in that carries a lot of weight.
Right.
And if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen,
I try and underpromise and overdeliver. So I walk you through what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking it, how I think it's going to look. And again, I don't have to know everything. I pride myself on knowing the other people that are part of the equation. So yeah, if you need an ultrasound guided injection or two, I have a person I recommend for that. If you need someone that's amazing at acupuncture with stim, I know someone for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
well, that's just as valuable as doing it yourself.
It is, right, exactly. But it's like you don't have to know all those things. No. I don't care to. But what I do is walk them through, like, in a perfect world, it should look like this. And I try and give them demarcations along the way of this is where we should be when we're here. If we're not, we're going to need to pivot. This is where we should be when we're here. If we're not, we're going to need to pivot, right? So you set the expectation. You make them an active part of the understanding. I don't want it to be woo-woo. I want you to know the why, because then you're invested in it too. And then you know what we're looking for. I need your feedback. I'm not in your body. So the wrong thing can look like the right thing if you can't feel it. So you need that back and forth.
And if they can't communicate it, what's going on and how they feel.
It's like when I taught drums, I used to tell all my students, if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's my fault. I haven't figured out how you hear me. So I'm just going to keep trying. Mm-hmm. And I have not yet arrived with someone, unless they're being disingenuous with me, where that has occurred, where despite my best efforts, we couldn't communicate. That has not happened. It doesn't mean that sometimes it isn't easier than others. Absolutely, it can be. But I haven't arrived at a point where, especially athletes, they're so freaking in tune, typically, with their bodies, mm-hmm. that they know even subtle tweaks, and you probably saw that with your extremity work and stuff that you did. I mm-hmm. mean, small things can make big changes, because what's the body? The great adapter. Right?
Yeah, and if you have a couple of joints that are involved in that main motion that you do, like golfers,
yeah,
you're not going to play at your potential.
No.
Even if it's just, 20% off.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you say to athletes out there that, need hope, and what they should do to communicate that to you?
You are the total sum of all your best decisions and all your worst decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't have to be right. We just have to pick what's best for us. Meaning that if that means I'm wrong, but the best idea or method wins, then the right outcome took place, right? That's always the case. So to the athlete, it's a matter of how much time is left. Where are we at in our accumulation of things? And you just don't BS people. There are people that I've met where I'm like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. We're going to try for it, but I need us to understand what's working for us and what's working against us. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean we don't try. It's kind of like the work that I do at the Karlfeldt Center with the cancer patients, right? There's some stuff where you're like, this doesn't look like this is stacking up well. Mm. But we still, let's go. Like, if you want to go, I want to go. So to the athlete, it's like, if you want to go, I want to go with you. Let's figure it out. but I'm not going to BS you. If I can't see the roadmap, I'm going to tell you that. Maybe that means that I'm not the right person. Maybe there is a roadmap and I just don't have the ability to put it together. Because,
but you're going to tell them that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I live off of my referrals. So it is in my best interest to just be that person, to just be honest, not be the great BSer. It's fun to be charismatic. It's fun to have, a good time, and tease and bro it out or whatever. Like I enjoy that, It's good.
I know that.
Yes, you do. I mean, look at this.
From our interactions, I know that.
Look at this interview. I knew full well sitting down with you that your tan, for example, was going to make me look like a casting reject from the movie Powder. I knew when I walked in this room, I was like, oh God, here we go. So
because I just got back from Hawaii. It's not natural.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's not natural. The sun didn't make this. Yeah. No, but where I'm going with that is it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's supposed to be fun.
And I can tell that the athletes that are out there, just coming here or having you go there, they're going to have a lot of fun on the way.
That's the goal.
That's, but the knowledge that you have of putting it together and not just working on this muscle or this muscle, but how does that all have to work together to play that sport? If it's hockey, it's different.
It is
different.
Well, it is. Okay. Back to the chiropractic point of view for a minute. It's the repetitive motion stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So hockey for me is actually my bigger challenge because they maintain a schedule that's more similar to baseball, but it's a violent contact sport and it's explosive and it's fast. I mean, these guys are running into each other on the ice in excess of 15, 20, 25 miles an hour, right? Like
I cringe when I see it, actually.
Yeah. I mean, holy heck. God bless the technology for pads, etc.
Yeah.
But where it gets fun for that is the demand that a D-line guy has versus a forward versus a goalie. I love working with goalies because those guys, they're typically nowadays they're tall. They're all really tall, these big dudes. And it's just like when they have to move, they have to do it now. And it's small movement, explode into whatever it is to create the geometric offset to narrow the shot ability of the guy in front of them.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of unique injuries that happen with them.
Oh, I bet.
So staying ahead of it and working with those dudes is fun because it's very unique. The demand is
I'll bet.
The demand is really cool.
Yeah.
It's no different than I can throw this guy's name out because I asked him, Genty, when I work with Ashton. He was the one that really dug into me on, I need you to understand the importance of the strength of my big toe. And I was like, okay. And he goes like, no, like when I change direction, that's my big toe. And he goes, and it's my hamstrings. It's not your quads.
And he was very well aware of that.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Look at what he's done.
Yeah. But there's another one that understands acutely so what it is he's made out of and what it took to do that. He doesn't look at it as, oh, now I'm in the NFL, now I don't have to squat heavy ever again. Not at all. But so, for example, if we go the technology side, we let the back squat do its work. The fruit of that labor, I think, is borne out. I don't think that there's anyone who's paid attention to football in the last, call it 4 years of that guy's career, 5 years, whatever your focus point has been, that you can argue that he doesn't know what he's doing. So, okay, we'll let the back squat do its work, and then I'll come in with M-Sculpt, and I will specifically work the muscle responsible for the big toe. Because I can do that. And they laugh when I do that to safeties, wide receivers.
I think it's fascinating that he understood that. The big toe. The strength of the big toe.
Yeah. He was very kind to me about it. He also gives me a hard time for not knowing enough players. Like I'll text him. I was at this athlete's first event over the Super Bowl for I think what was that? It wasn't just BTL. There were other vendors and stuff that were there, and I was there just kind of like meet and greet, showing people some of the technology that exists. I apologize that I can't remember everyone that was there. But it was a really fun event. And here's these different athletes and stuff that I'm meeting. And I'm texting him going like, I just met so-and-so. And he's like, oh, have you met him before? I was like, no, I didn't even know who he was. He's like, dude, I got to work with you on this. You can't be that guy anymore.
I have to do some education.
He did. When I told him, I was like, I will listen to you because I do not have the bandwidth as a father of 4 to go and figure this out on my own. Like, it's not going to happen. So if you want to teach me, oh great master, please do. Please do, and I'll listen. Because it ain't happening otherwise.
Because you're looking at them, helping them, not in awe, total awe, and being intimidated by them. You're just there to help them.
They're just dudes or gals. You know what I mean? They're just people.
Right.
And there's a comfortability. It was just like when I was in the music business, the part of the reason I got the referrals I did for that was I never ever like went up to someone for an autograph, or when I was working with them got all starstruck. There were a couple people that were definitely higher up on my list of people that I admired, where it's kind of like, oh, holy crap. Like, when I worked with Dave Grohl, he was on my bucket list. He was a sweetheart of a dude. He was genuinely a cool person to me, and he didn't have to be. I was his drum tech for the day. Like, he could have just showed up and like, hey man, thanks, or whatever, and gone and done his thing, right? As long as he wasn't a jerk, it would have been amicable.
Mm-hmm.
No, he went out of his way and was super kind. And then offered me the ability to go use his recording studio. And why, I don't know, but that was really nice of him. Like, I've not forgotten that. And so it's kind of like, okay, that came because I was just curt. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't someone trying to angle on him or whatever. I was just here to serve. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm just here to serve. And if what I can do helps you, awesome. And if I'm not your guy, that's okay too. Like, no hard feelings.
You'll refer them where they need to go.
I'll try my best.
You and I could talk all day long because I enjoy talking to you so much.
Likewise.
Thanks a lot, Kurtis,
Thank
for
you.
being here. And I think the listeners are going to get a lot out of it and you'll be able to, I call it, increasing your circle of influence for good.
That's the goal.
As we go, just keep helping people, stay focused on that. And
there's a fun one I just want them to think about. And that was, I had a guy give this to me as the formula for success, right? And he said, when preparation meets opportunity, that's when you have success, right?
Yep.
So then having your people for your preparation, let's go.
You're prepared.
Yeah.
The people will come.
Every time.
Thanks a lot, Kurt.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Dr.
You bet.
Harmon.
Thanks for tuning in to Root Cause Holistic Health. We're here to help you uncover what's really going on and empower you to take the next step in your healing journey.
Whether you're a mom, a dad, or just someone ready to stop settling for Band-Aid fixes, we hope today's episode gave you something to think about.
If you found this episode valuable, do us a favor, share it with someone you love, and leave a review so we can reach more families like yours.
Make sure to hit follow so you don't miss next week's episode. We've got more honest conversations, practical tips, and root cause wisdom coming your way.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and most of all, stay connected to what truly matters.
We'll see you next time on Root Cause Holistic Health.